Welcome to our first Lunch and Learn. We are excited to have you here. This should be a very informal time of learning and questions and answers. We're going to be able to give you some strategies, but we're also going to realize that there are still going to be challenges going forward. We don't have perfect answers. A glimpse into the sort of trifecta of digital communications, each of us taking on a portion of that. But then we'll have a time for Q&A. We just hope to inspire you a little bit. We hope to help you to understand that like your mission in your community is shareable, and here's the different ways that you can do it. And let's just dive right in. So Nicki's going to start with newsletters because she's our diocesan newsletter guru, and that's part of our trifecta, starting with newsletters.
Thank you, Leanne. I didn't think I was going to be called a guru, but here we are. Okay, so newsletter, e-news. In a sense, I feel like e-news might be the ugly stepchild of this trifecta, because I've heard a lot of people mention social media and websites, but e-news is something that also could be in your toolbox. What my experience with it has been, and I hope all of you, or with the exception of Warren, I would guess, I hope you all subscribe to the diocesan e-news, and if not, well, even if you do, we're going to add a link later to this, either to this chat or to a follow-up email, so you can subscribe. Getting back to the origins of this, I used to send, I don't know, for those of you who've been around a bit, I've been here for more than 20 years. I felt like I was sending emails constantly. And what the e-news has allowed me to do is corral a lot of information and deliver it in a very predictable schedule, so people can expect it and they know, and it's just an easier way to have information all in one place. I use a platform called Mailchimp, and I think, Laura, that you mentioned that you use this as well. I'm glad to hear this. And like what you said about people not having email, I find most people, probably 90% of the people in our diocese, I don't know, I'm guessing at that number, but most of them have email. If they're not on
still have a few that we have to mail a newsletter to.
Right. Understood.
Not the majority of people, for sure.
Right. So, this is something that lands in people's inbox. And again, we use Mailchimp, and it's a very, very friendly, free platform. And I include news, events, fundraising, stories, pictures. I've always been lucky to have pictures available. What's that?
I said even stuff like we changed the lock on.
It's funny, because I'm glad you mentioned that, Laura, because even housekeeping issues can be a part of it. And you might be thinking in parishes, oh, we don't have enough material to do a weekly e-news. But you probably do if you sit down and focus on all of the things that you could possibly communicate to the people in your audience. So I don't know if there's anything else that I can say about that. And I'll be happy to answer questions at the end. But again, it's a very, very good tool to have in your toolbox for communications.
Thank you, Nicki. Your newsletter is definitely really appreciated. I can't tell you how many times people have told me, oh, I heard about Supper Club, or I heard about what other event that I'm hosting thanks to our newsletter. And we do have a very wide reach in our newsletter. So, and you've been building that for, I think, just the past 10 years. Is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thanks. So we'll get back to anything newsletter oriented. Oh, I see Phil has a hand up. Go ahead, Phil.
Quick question. How do you make sure you don't end up in someone's spam box?
Oh, Phil, that's a bugaboo. It's an ongoing issue, I have to say, with Mailchimp. And I don't really know what the answer to that is. It does happen, and our workaround for that has been that we post the e-news online and then send out an email to people. It's not perfect, but that's the one thing. I don't know if Laura, if you had that experience with Mailchimp in particular, about landing people's junk mail, and it's definitely a challenge.
Well, I think we pre-announced that we were doing it and, sort of coaxed people through some of that stage. So it's
Right.
manageable, it's quirky in a few spots, but it's really a good tool, a really good tool. I found as you mentioned, you can take all the stuff you needed to in the week, your posters and your events and your people, and guess what's happening, and we broke a window, and sorry, Miss So-and-so has passed away, and whatever. And it may take me several hours during my week to put it together, but it's very efficient when you really look at it all. It's probably the best use of my time when it comes to that kind of communication for this
Right.
parish anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that. And you said it takes a couple of hours.
Yep.
Once you do your initial, what I find is, you can replicate a template.
I do it
and then,
every week.
Update it, so it becomes easier and easier every time you do it.
There's a little feature called replicate, so you'll get exactly back what you did last week. You just change the information.
Exactly.
So we Zoom our Sunday meetings. I just change the links and stuff. So once you're kind of set up, it's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Phil. I don't think I really answered your question. But what Laura said, it's a good idea, and I've sent out occasional emails, for people to check their junk mail, but it is a little frustrating glitch I find with Mailchimp.
Yeah, I never figured out if it was something with the subject line. If there were some keywords that pop up that get filtered somehow, they say, "Hold on, this sounds like advertisements for something," and it just goes straight to your junk email.
We
or
had
the number
to
of
train people.
recipients receiving it.
Yeah, we had to train people initially that this was coming and how to handle it, where you would find it. I know that sounds funny, but it's in your trash, right?
Yeah.
So
just dig through your trash.
Just go through your garbage, you'll be fine, right? But that's just what to expect up front, and then I don't have really much trouble with it now. So
Thank you.
The only thing is you have to have the person's permission to send them an email. So they will ask you on the site, do you have permission to send this? You have to check yes. And if you don't, it's not going anywhere.
And do we have local laws that indicate where we have to indicate or have an option to unsubscribe?
Yes. It's a very regulated program, and sometimes people can unsubscribe whenever they want to. The challenge is if they want to resubscribe, and I won't take up all your time on that. There's a certain way you have to do it, because once somebody says unsubscribe, the site will not let you resend to them unless the person on the other end says okay. So it's a very safe. You can't send to anybody you want to. Pretty much, it's worth the time investment, is what I would say. So. And I'm also happy, if Leanne, it's any help, that if somebody's in the middle of trying to set it up, they can also call me if they can't reach you. I'm happy to help.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I think that's actually what we'll end on for until we come back to questions around this. It really is a very worthwhile investment of your time to get going with an email subscriber list and a newsletter. I will invite Neil to be our next presenter on the topic of websites.
So, should your parish have a website? Yes, absolutely. All parishes need a website because this is often the first place people will visit your church. And a website can create a host of images of what your church is like. And I think you need to be carefully curated. If you have a picture of your building or the interior of some of the people, of course, you always need permission to have people's pictures up. What information are you conveying? And I know smaller churches that have fewer resources often struggle. How are we going to do this? Because again, like I said about my own TikTok and stuff, it can be a bottomless pit of information having to go out all the time. And I think that's often the challenge in smaller churches. Someone has to maintain the website all of the time. Because if any of your churches are still advertising your Easter services, you look like you're dead, right? You need to be. So either you can have, if you're a smaller church, a very simple website, and not have it constantly updated, but it has key information. And again, if you have more resources, you can have a very dynamic website. The more you are posting things in your website and connecting, the more clicks that you do get, however. So, but I think it's important to just know what your level is. Essential things, I think websites need to have. One thing that irritates me when I have to go visit a church, and maybe you find this, Warren, in your work, which is similar, is that I go to the church website always, and if I don't know when the service is or where the church is, it's really maddening. And a lot of them they don't have an address, and you don't know when the service is. And so they're not thinking about people who might be visiting. And to me, those are the essential things.
Yeah. That's a great observation, Neil, because sometimes people or churches set up websites thinking it's more for themselves. Really, the websites are more for other people.
Yes.
In reality, because that's the first knocking on the door that a lot of people do, is check out the websites.
Exactly. And they may visit your church for months through the website, especially if you have sermons and things. So it's worth thinking about that, because those can be a way of people trying to, what kind of church is this? If you have a picture of a big praise band on a stage, they know they're going to get that. If you have a picture of a sanctuary with an altar and candles, they know they're going to get that. And this helps them understand what you're offering. Another thing increasingly is that and I think this is kind of a challenge as well, a lot of churches got websites, but now everything needs to be digitally optimized so that it works on a phone really well and can function on a phone. So in a way that there's a lot of updating to do around that. Let me just show you a couple. I'm going to show you one that I hate and one that I love. And I'm not calling anyone out on this who's in this call. Okay, can you see this one?
Yeah.
This is a church. So one good thing about this one is that it does have its address. But as I roll through this, I don't see any time for the service. So I don't know when the service is. When I look at the announcements, the last time it was updated was in 2020. So not too updated. And so, so that may be an extreme case. And this is an active church. The other thing I don't like is, they do have a picture of the church, though it's not a highly attractive one, but at least I know what the church looks like when I drive there, which I don't think is I think that's a helpful thing. But the first thing they say is St. Simon's Church came into being in 1961. It looks to me like they haven't updated this thing since 1961. Well, we didn't have them in 19, but you know what I mean? Like that's already like dating ourselves instead of some kind of welcome into the now. Another thing they don't have, which I think is important, is a donate now button. Your website is a key place, because I do the stewardship work as well in our diocese, and a website is a very, very important place for you to be locating your place for people to support the church with a really nice pitch. And the donate now button needs to be on the right, I don't know which way I'm facing, the top right-hand corner of your website. And you should have a link, whether it's Canada Helps or Zephy or whatever it is you're using. We want to have a nice pitch. This church is worth supporting. Why? And we have donate now, because people increasingly are giving that way, although increasingly on their phones. Again, phones, digital optimization. And here's another one that I like. And
we don't see.
Oh, that's where I need to go. Hold on. Sorry, I've minimized you all. And I'll be very quick. So this is a church in St. Anne de Bellevue. It used to be my church, but I am not responsible for this website. Why might we like this website? One thing, it has a very nice flow. And so there's a picture, a nice, I think, attractive picture of the sanctuary. It is what it is, right? We have some nice stained glass window, and we understand, okay, this is a sacramental kind of church. if you look, I don't know if these open, but you'll see they have a bullet. Look, they actually say the next service is on the 17th. We open the bulletin and we get a relevant bulletin. And so I know what the service is going to be like. We can go to the announcements. So someone is doing, now this is not a big church, but look, we know the next community meal is going to be, you're invited to all of these things. And as you scroll down this one, again, this is what this church is like. So you're not going to go get a praise band in this church, but you are going to get sacramental worship. So if you're interested in that, you can do that. And they have ministries, so you can click and look at their food ministry, for example. And so they have a food cupboard and a community meal. So it's there with nice pictures and, it's inviting. So I know what this church is about. And so we know
And
they
there's a
meet at 10.
donate button.
And the donate now button is right there.
Yeah.
So, we are so grateful for your interest and support. Seniors ministry, groceries for those in need in St. Anne's, and so they give you an opportunity, and they're on Zephy.
Mm-hmm.
This particular website is digitally optimized. And where again? And so if you there. So if you go to your phone and look up St. George's in Annabelle, you will be able to scroll on your phone and make a donation and see that whole thing in one page. I think lastly, do you do this yourself? Do you get someone else to do it? They had someone do that for them, actually, a young university student and it cost about $1,000 to get that website. And, so you can do them yourselves. We can give you ideas like with Squarespace or Wix, but I think for a smaller church, $1,000, I thought that was a worthwhile investment for an attractive, effective website that they now maintain. Is there anything else I need to say? But anyways, as I said, so I'm much more likely to turn up at St. George's and Anna Bellevue than I am in the others. So
Yeah, that was a good example. Any questions for Neil about the website? Yeah, Randy and Phil. Go ahead, Randy.
He's on mute.
So, Grace Church in Sutton has no website. And so I'd like to change that. So who can help me get started with that?
I can talk to you,
Okay.
Randy. We can schedule it. We can talk about that. Yeah, we can think about some options for you.
And the other thing about that, Neil, you said the one for St. George's was done by somebody.
yeah,
After they've done it, could I go in and make the changes and update it and do things to save money there?
yeah, because you have logon information just like anything else, yeah, and can do that.
And you said it cost about $1,000 to start off with the creation, but then how much is the optimization?
Well, that sort of comes now with the program, like that's sort of more standard now. Yeah.
No,
so
because
it's just that there was a first.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the next generation ones are like that now. Because a lot of churches have a first generation website.
No, I
remember optimized.
When I was at the Gazette and we started selling websites, and then people would try and go on the phone. I mean, and even still, you can go on some websites now on your phone, and it's just a terrible, terrible experience. So it's almost like you shouldn't do a website unless you're going to optimize it, because most people do everything on their phone now, all transactions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Leanne. Well, I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah.
Know it. And Phil.
I'll wear my strategic planning committee hat. As we look at a lot of parishes or small parishes that only have maybe a Facebook page, which hasn't been updated in many years, and we're talking about $1,000 potentially for a startup page, could that not be a resource that we could handle from the diocesan office, to where here's a standard template, we'll just change a couple of images, here's your church, your phone number, because there are going to be some parishes that just don't have the people with technical savvy to do this. Is that a resource or something that we should consider? I'm not saying tomorrow, but something that I could bring to the team on the strategic planning committee as we go out and ask questions as to what people are looking for, what resources they need from us.
Absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned that, Phil, because I did, following a conversation with Leanne and Neil, I did reach out to Jessica just to ask the question if digital resources were going to be a part of the overall strategic plan, and she did say that yes, that's going to be considered along with other things, and we'll have some input to that. But we're a ways away from having a website template, but that's something that has been discussed, and we just need to make sure that we have the resources to be able to do that and share that with people who need it. And I'm sure, Leanne, you might have something to add to that.
No, I think you said it. I think that's basically it. But yes, that's like, we do really understand that there is a big gap in terms of what the needs are and what our capacity is and our resources are. And we're certainly looking at creative ways of bridging the gap.
Good idea.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Randy was saying he wants to get a website set up. Maybe some caveat when it comes to anything with social media, which I've discovered in my work, because I deal with all the churches in the diocese, is when someone leaves, who has the knowledge of the logins? Very, very important. One parish that we dealt with, the lay secretary and parish administrator had all the codes, all the logins, the pins, everything for every single thing. So it's really important that somehow that gets becomes the property of the parish, not the property of the person. Because when that person leaves and you can't figure out how to get into Facebook or Instagram or the website or the Mailchimp or any of those kind of things, you're in trouble. Yeah. Just a thought.
But I think as well, back to Phil, to your point, that smaller churches can have a simpler website. It doesn't have to be. I mean, St. George's that one is fairly simple, but it could be more simple, but relevant with the information that's needed, and just presenting a picture of the church. Because I think what's hard for smaller churches is the ongoingness of having to update those things all the time.
In addition to the passwords, I would put a reminder date to renew your website so hackers don't end up purchasing it afterwards and hijacking your website.
And I really agree with you, Warren, wholeheartedly, that any digital communications conversation that happens has to have passwords included, because that can be a catastrophe when somebody leaves and takes their stuff and your whole thing falls apart. So thanks for bringing that up as a point of very serious concern. There should be passwords, and they should be protected, and the parish priest, has to make sure they have complete control over that and that they have access to all the passwords.
And can I add one thing? You might think, oh, well, so and so, we're always going to be on good terms and always get the information and whatever, but something could happen to that person. Somebody could, not be here anymore, or there could be some contention, and you never know. So it's important to protect yourself.
Yes. Anything else on websites before we move on to social media? Okay, thanks so much, Neil, for that. I'm going to take on the social media portion. I mean, this is such an evolving conversation. I'm going to see if I can just make a few points that I think are relevant, but then we'll open the floor to just a more general discussion. But for the purposes of today, I really think that we're emphasizing like making yourself more findable online. And that is what I would just hope that we all, if we have a social page that you pin, you do a nice little pinny pin. And when you pin, we often forget that we pin something. So you pin like a nice word of welcome to someone who might be finding you. Like, hi, my name is Joe Church, and we invite you to worship with us. Don't be too specific on the dates, because you're not going to probably change it. And it'll just be like a nice general word of welcome with, ideally, like Neil said, I love that idea of photo of the exterior of your church so that people feel like it's a familiar thing to drive up to, and they see that picture enough, they'll feel safe to come. So who are you? Are you findable? I mean, social media is not only for outsiders, because they're actually, frankly, the least likely to visit your page, but they're the ones that we're hoping mostly for. But they're also for your insiders, right? The people that like you're already in community with. So you want to build and uplift that existing community. You want to share hope, and you want to keep people informed. So that newsletter that Nicki talked about, this is a great. There's so much. There's so much content for your social from the newsletter. There's also so much content for your from your website that you can just steal and put into your social pages. So there's a lot of existing information now that we've already covered that can become social posts. The emphasis on community and connection is really important. So not just announcements, like announcements are great, but many of us in the church fall into the trap of like just making announcements. And we're terrified of stepping outside of the confines of like, we're doing a parish potluck on May 18th. Everyone's got to come. Great. But like, why do we want to go? Who's doing it? Like, let us know. Facebook, like I love saying this, like they call it Facebook for a reason, because we're social creatures. I want to see your face. I want to hear your story. I want more. I don't just want to know the date and the time of your parish potluck. I want to know why you're putting it on. I want to know what is the actual soul behind this gathering. So social media affords us a lot of freedom to actually connect and express ourselves in really creative ways. It's also scary because I'm talking about vulnerable things. When you go outside of just putting the date and the time, then we're talking about, sometimes more vulnerable things. But I think if we're actually going to make any kind of connection, we have to be willing to be a wee bit vulnerable. So some of our parishes are doing really interesting work with like, okay, see you, Randy. Thanks for being here. I'll send you the recording when it's done. Parish history is really interesting. I know that Janet and Carol, your church does a lot of interesting stuff on Instagram. I don't know who your Instagram provider is, but I see your Instagram. Yeah, you do some really great work with your history and your photos. Of course, Janet, they're spectacular, so they go a really long way. Your Instagram is actually slaying, Janet. You guys have a lot of followers and a lot of engagement, so well done on that. Like a day in a parish life is really a fun thing to post. What to expect is also really important. Like for a newcomer, because we're looking at different audiences. Like what can I expect when I come to a church? What do I have to wear? Where do I park? That could be a fun post along with the photo of like, what's worship like here? Interview a parishioner, so to speak. So in terms of like the when, I know that's been a question, like what's the most strategic time? And what they say, I mean, again, these things are very much trial and error, but I can tell you like best practices says that mornings are more effective than evenings in general. And also like a couple of days before, like you might like give a Sunday reminder, such low-hanging fruit. Like you're worshiping every Sunday. So every Thursday, if you say, hey, this Sunday we have a guest lecture, a guest preacher, or whatever might be unique to that particular Sunday, that could be an interesting Thursday, so a few days prior in the morning to announce your Sunday service. Sunday afternoon, if anybody has any energy, a couple of photos from the morning. Ideally, the sermon can get repurposed and reposted. This is all, you need somebody you need energy for somebody to take those photos and then go home and turn that into something that they can upload to the Facebook or to the Instagram. Okay, as for Facebook and Instagram, I know Facebook's been getting a lot of slag lately because social media in general has been getting into a lot of trouble for a whole bunch of reasons, but Facebook is still, for our demographic, we have an older demographic, it's still Facebook. So don't worry about TikTok, even though Neil's a TikTok star, and don't worry about Instagram. I mean, it's great if you can, but energy is a limited resource for all of us. So I would just say, if you're going to pick one, make it your Facebook, make sure that it's linked to your website, and also put it on your newsletter. Hey, have you checked out our Facebook to get subscribers? For, again, those who are in that demographic. And you're right, Laura, a number of our demographic, of our population, they are not on social media, some of them not even on email. So we're speaking to those who actually are. Do I need to say anything else about social media? I mean, other than it's an evolving conversation, it's very controversial. There's a lot of like weird hacking behavior that's going on. In fact, I was sending to this link to a couple of people who were not here via Facebook Messenger, and it came back with a click like click your bank here. Like there's so much weird stuff happening. So we have to safeguard ourselves. We have to be very mindful on social media, and people are hacking us all the time. Same thing with, this is why I feel like the movement towards website, which is actually you own that domain. You have a lot more control over your website. So in general, having your website is like the best and most authentic way to express yourself. Also, like Facebook could go down, has gone down, probably will go down. We don't know what's happening. So if you have a website and a domain that's yours, you will have more safety in the event of any kind of digital catastrophe, which Lord knows what is about to happen. But I think that's all I want to say. I would love, unless we have any questions about social media in particular. Yes, Janet.
Oh, I wanted to ask about TikTok. That's the one that we're not on. And what can you say about it? Some people seem to have a very dim view of it, but I think there's all kinds of things on it. So maybe Neil, I mean, you have experience with it. It seems.
I'll go first.
Yeah, sure. Whoever has something to, whatever
I'll say, that I can just give you my personal impression, which is like, I absolutely love TikTok, and I feel like it's a digital space that is a lot safer because it doesn't have like my mom on there, for example. Like, so you don't feel like you're being as scrutinized by your immediate community. So you have like a lot of creators are expressing themselves and are finding connection in very different ways than they would on Facebook, because like mostly it's like an older generation on Facebook, and it feels like it's sort of a more judgy space. That's just my impression, but it's definitely a platform worth exploring, and churches are doing very interesting, innovative, and creative stuff on TikTok. So that's my pitch for it.
Is it like Instagram? Is it similar to Instagram, or is it even more younger and more? I don't know. I'm just asking because I think
it's younger, but Neil, you take the rest.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, I really do like it as a way to express ourselves. Like for me, is again, I'm interested in talking about spirituality and spiritual practice, so I use it for that. I mean, Leanne is really good on TikTok too, and you often are kind of you're thinking things out loud on TikTok, I think. But most of my followers live in Pakistan, so why, I don't know.
I live in Pakistan.
Yeah, I've got all these people in Pakistan who keep inviting me over to come and preach, but. No, I don't know how, the algorithm, but for me, and then I do link it over to my Instagram and Facebook stories, which are the reels on Facebook, and I tie that in with a blog, and it can be a lot of fun, but it also, again, is work, right? You have to make these things, edit them, and if you want to tie it all together like that, it's a little bit of coordinating.
But I just wondered if you could take the reels from Instagram, put them on TikTok, or
Yeah, you can move it all around.
Similar, it wouldn't be that much more work.
It's
but I guess,
on your phone is the easiest way.
On the phone is the easiest.
I find that the easiest way. I just move it
Really, I like using the computer. Anyway, it's
But you just have to.
Sorry, Warren. Are a great way for TikTok. I know some clergy who use it. And they just do short little whatevers at any time, any moment it strikes them. And, like I have 3 boys, and they're all Generation Z, or as they say down here in the South, Z. And that's what they want. That's what they want to see. They don't want to even go near Facebook. So depending who you're trying to reach, or if you want to expand your reach. Instagram, TikTok, those are going to be the areas you eventually want to try if you're able to. And like I said, you could take a reel and put it into TikTok or shift it around, and it all links together.
Okay. So it I guess there's a lot of kind of disreputable stuff on TikTok, but there's other stuff too, so.
Yes,
we could be a positive voice. Let's use it in an uplifting way. I think it's great.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll make one closing comment just on social in general, is that we're in a very particular moment right now where I think in terms of trying to expand your reach in general, that the emphasis is really on paid advertising, so that all of the platforms are really encouraging us and nudging us along to actually throw money into these platforms in order to get the kind of reach that we would have been able to get even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another one of the limitations. As I say, this is every day we wake up and it's a whole new story. So we're invited to just really be very agile because it's very moving. And consider getting if we're talking about budgets and money, like this is something else. If we're going to pour money into a website, then consider pouring some money, doing a bit of basic research and figuring out how to get, if you want to grow your audience and get new people to come and go to your church, then consider throwing some money onto I would just say start with Facebook, because it's still a very well used platform for our demographic.
Okay. You mean using some of like boost your post kind of thing?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like boost a strategic reel, or for like a particular event, even just seasonally for like Easter and Christmas. These would be a way that you might be able to increase your reach.
Okay.
Let's open the floor. We have about 10 minutes left. I would love to hear about any comments, questions, feedback from those of us who are still with us. Laura.
No, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just quickly, if there's anybody who would like to see what Mailchimp email looks like that we publish every week, if you send me your email, all right, I can put you on. It will come to you every Friday. You can unsubscribe when you want to, but it would give you a template of what the thing looks like. So you can make it unique to you, but if you've never experienced it, I'm more than happy to include you until you don't want to be included anymore, just so you can see what it's about. But and if you do want to do that, it's just the name of the church, All Saints by the Lake at gmail.com. So, or if you're in there and you're stuck someplace, I'm not an expert, but you could always email me and I'm like, try this, right? So if I can help with that, I'm glad to. But it's actually, once you get into it, it's kind of fun because it's like one and done for the week. Let's just call it that. So.
And I love the idea of providing peer support. I think this kind of peer is really good for that. So to be able to lend each other.
Well, it's like Facebook for me. Like, it's just because it's not my thing. Right. Other people here look after that, but it doesn't mean I shouldn't learn more about it, right? So
we all do what we can, but being interested really does help. Like having,
I'm more than happy just to, as I say, if it's, hey, what do I do about this? So I'll try this.
Yeah, it's more of a question in terms of, from the social media presence that you've seen from various churches and communities, would you say that they're more focused on discipleship, or are they really just looking to have a social club, right, where it's just about their own activities for people who are already part of the congregation?
I think that's an excellent question, and I think that even in terms of our audience, like, we're often wondering, who are we as a diocese when we're creating content? Who is our audience? Like, we're always trying to balance the tension of like speaking to our existing audience, or we've got clergy, we've got lay people, and we also have an entire city that is spiritually in need of discipleship. And so this is not something that I can say that we have done excellently well, because that is really a challenge. Like, how do we address those vastly different communities? And especially knowing what I know, that Facebook is like basically a locked vault at this point, where our posts are largely not going to reach those who are, if you haven't subscribed and you don't already know about us, I can't meet you because we're not boosting our posts. So that's something that we need to, as we're moving forward, start thinking about. I think having a digital calendar and asking that exact question, Phil, would be very, very useful. because we always need to remember that like that's supposed to be our ultimate goal. It's not just letting you know that we have a parish supper or a synod next week, but it's also that we are very interested in discipling you.
Yeah, or
To be
welcoming
clear,
you
we're not
into
having a
ministry.
synod next week.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Not next week, next month, but not next week.
Okay, thank you.
No, but I mean, what I like about like the St. George's website is they've decided to focus on food ministry. So they had a garden, it's all there. If you want to be part of that, if that
Yes.
appeals to you, right? There's an invitation there. Join us. And I think that, churches can't do everything, but hey, this is what we're doing. Or, yeah, we're doing the Alpha course in September. Join us. Whatever it is, yeah.
Well, and Neil, you're also always talking about, when you talk about stewardship, you're always like, give me a compelling reason why.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
provided a compelling reason why.
Yeah.
They said you can give because we're doing X, Y, and Z. Don't just give, but give because we're actually delivering a meaningful connection to the community.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a whole beautiful stewardship piece, which we can talk about. Yeah. But people want to make a difference.
Yeah.
And do you find there's anything that's really on its way out, social media wise? You mentioned Facebook, and then it being kind of and I do find it this way, it's a very cliquey sometimes platform. You have to like somebody, not enough likes, and that kind of thing. And, sharing it is, how interested are you in what so-and-so has to say? So aside from that, is there anything else that's kind of at the back of the pack now? Not worth investing, I'm going to say, investing fresh energy in, maybe.
I think that, like, in general, ironically, this is just me guessing into the world, like we're moving towards a more analog space. I think AI is making people feel extremely aggravated. And yes, as much as the world is digital and everyone knows that, like, people are getting agitated. So going back to things like a newsletter, like and a newspaper. We also have a newspaper, by the way, which, I think I believe we're going to find that people are going to be turning more and more back to the old ways of connecting, which is more traditional. That's what I'm hearing smart people say, and I'm echoing that sentiment. I see it as well. I see it in this small amount of time that AI has come into our laps. People are already saying, ick, ew, no thank you. It feels corrupt.
I
So
agree.
not
Once
to
in a
ignore
while,
the pen and paper. Okay.
Yeah.
once in a while, I wish I had Neil's sermons on vinyl. Right?
Great.
I love it. Or at least a DVD.
Yeah.
How about an 8-track? Remember those?
We are about to come to an end. Today we gave a very, very brief summary and overview of 3 topics to create the trifecta of digital communications, touching on it. But would this be something that we would like to do more often? I know that Randy's already expressed an interest in having some support building a website. We would like to avail ourselves to you, perhaps in this format or in another format, but it's just something we would like to do again. I see Debbie nodding. I see Carol giving me a thumbs up. I see Phil saying yes. I see Warren saying yes. And Laura's not there. So, I mean, I think we would like to be able to consider. We want you to consider us here for you. Okay, so let's consider next steps. Certainly, we'd probably regroup again in the fall. But this has been new for us, but hopefully not the last time that we do this. So thank you for taking your time. I'll provide you with this recording and also with the outline that if it's of any help for you and your context, I'll send it by email to you, and you're welcome to use that however you need it. Sounds okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Neil, would you be willing to pray us out?
Okay. Well, gracious God, thank you that you give us opportunities to communicate within ourselves, within our communities, and beyond. I pray that you will just encourage each one of us in our parishes and in our own lives to be those who point people to you and to use all the means possible that your name might be lifted up. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And thank you all so very much again for being
Thank
part
you.
of it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Nice to meet
Good
you.
to see you.
Nice
Nice
to
to
meet
meet
you.
you, Warren.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.